A 50 billion dong land deal in Binyuong collapsed because of a glass of whiskey poured at 10 in the morning. The drink signaled a lack of sobriety and calculation to the partner, ending the negotiation instantly. By contrast, a wood exporter secured a $2 million Japanese contract within a cramped 4-square-meter room behind a factory. The deal wasn't reached through a pitch deck, but through 3 weeks of consistently boiling water for tea. Many Vietnamese businesses operate within an imported high-speed framework. We prioritize Zalo quotes at midnight and rapid-fire Zoom calls, operating under the assumption that digital efficiency and legal NDAs are the primary drivers of trust. In high-stakes commerce, these digital layers eventually fall away. Success ultimately depends on a single analog variable, two individuals determining if they can physically trust one another. The process of serving tea introduces a sequence of procedural steps that regulate power and tempo. It acts as a mechanism for managing the psychological pacing of the conversation before terms are even discussed. Different beverages dictate the rhythm of a meeting. Coffee is a stimulant that creates a chemical urge to reach a conclusion quickly. Alcohol removes social barriers and encourages honesty, but it also dissolves the professional accountability required for the following morning. Tea enforces a deliberate delay. The negotiator is forced to wait for water to finally reach a boil, for the leaves to unfurl, and for the ceramic to cool. This sequence requires the impatient ego to subside, synchronizing the participant's physical state with the slow pace of the ritual. This timeline tracks emotional volatility across the 3 pores of a traditional tea service. The first water occurs when tension is highest. It is used for initial calibration and testing the temperament of the other party. During the second water, the physiological state of the room begins to level out. This window provides the stability needed to address the most difficult contractual clauses and points of friction. The third water is often defined by silence. With the initial urgency exhausted by the process, both parties can reach a final decision based on calculated intent rather than emotional reaction. By enforcing a slow physiological process, negotiators can align their psychological states, ensuring that the final agreement is reached in a state of calm. Standard boardroom design, with 6-meter tables and high-backed chairs, creates a space of confrontation. These environments naturally encourage defensive posturing by maintaining a significant physical gap between opposing sides. A dedicated tea space uses a different set of architectural rules to predetermine a collaborative outcome. The first rule removes the head of the table. By angling the seats and focusing on a central teapot, the design ensures that power is decentralized, resting in the activity at the center rather than with any one individual. The second rule utilizes uneven lighting to allow for role sorting. Shadows provide a space for those who need to speak frankly or share concerns, while bright lit areas are naturally occupied by those in an observational role. The third rule specifies the use of aged materials, like crazed ceramic or weathered wood. Surrounding the negotiation with imperfect objects encourages participants to acknowledge the inherent flaws and complexities in their own business structures. When the physical environment is engineered for humility, it sets the psychological tone for the interaction before a single word is spoken. In many Western systems, trust is verified through an NDA before a conversation begins. In this Eastern approach, the act of pouring tea precedes the asking of questions. This introduces kinematics, the study of motion, into the deal. How a partner grips a handleless cup or pauses to admire the ceramic provides data on their background, composure, and degree of patience. The act of accepting a cup from a low table requires a slight forward bow of the head and torso. This motion forces the body into a spatially lower, non-threatening position, creating a moment of physical receptivity. In the case of the wood exporter, the host personally washed the teapot and boiled the water. The partner viewed this hands-on care as physical proof of the host's transparency and attention to detail in his business operations. While words and contracts can be obscured, these physical movements serve as evidence of intent, operating outside the reach of verbal manipulation. At the highest levels of diplomacy and business, success is not characterized by immediate agreement. It is measured by the ability of both parties to navigate and survive extreme disagreement. The system functions as a structural mechanism for maintaining contact. Even when a proposal is rejected, the ritual continues. I disagree, but I still pour you another cup. The combination of forced delay, a humbling physical space, and the repetitive loops of serving ensures that the parties remain at the table long enough to find a path forward. To manage the high-speed transactions of the global market, core professional relationships must be anchored in this type of analog patience. A stable agreement is architected in physical space, governed by biology, and reinforced through physical humility.